And our next United States Senator from the great state of Ohio, Mr. Rob Portman. And let's give a very special 18th Congressional District welcome to Mr. Future Congressman from the 18th Congressional District, Bob Gibbs. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to my good friend, State Senator John Husted, your next Secretary of State.
You know what? Before I get into this, I just heard that we have a very special guest here that I know all of you are waiting to see. It's not Nancy Pelosi. It's the next boss of the Ohio, or of the U.S. House of Representatives, and that's Congressman John Boehner. John Husted, I'm going to be your next Secretary of State. How's that sound? And, you know, a lot of people, I just had a question from a young lady down there. She asked me, well, what does the Secretary of State do exactly? And we don't negotiate Middle East peace agreements. I'm not the U.S. Secretary of State. But I am going to be the Chief Elections Officer of the state of Ohio. Yeah, and that's an important role. Why? Because you may remember in the 2008 elections, there was this group called Acorn. Remember them? They came into Ohio and tried to interrupt and corrupt our elections. And 2 years from now, we're going to have another one of those presidential elections, and I'm going to be your Chief Elections Officer. And I promise you this. I will not allow these out-of-state groups like Acorn to come in here and interrupt and corrupt our elections on my watch. Because our democracy means a lot more than that. Because if you don't trust your elections, you won't trust the people that you elect. Isn't that right? And we need to restore a lot of honor and integrity back to our process so that people believe in America and believe in Ohio again. Isn't that right? It's an important thing to do. But the Secretary of State also does something else. It's the place where if you want to start a small business, I call it the front door for entrepreneurs and small businesses, is where you do your corporate filings. And I want to tell you this. People have suffered long enough in this state with a 10% unemployment rate, loss of 400,000 jobs over the last 4 years. And when I'm in that office, we're going to roll out the red carpet and cut the red tape and start creating jobs and putting people in Ohio to work again. And it's going to take a big team of us. It's not just going to be me. It's going to be all of us who are frustrated and tired of the direction of this state and the direction of this country, who are going to come together and we're going to get it done, aren't we? That's exactly right. It's going to take all of us. And it's going to take the people up on this stage, and people in local office, and people in state office, and people at the federal level to get it all done. And you know, I was a football player, and played a team sport. And I know what it's like to get knocked down, and I know how hard it is to get back up. It's a tough thing. And that's how a lot of people feel right now. A lot of people are frustrated. A lot of people don't know whether or not they're even going to go out and vote because they don't think their vote matters. Well, it matters. And it's going to take every single one of you making sure that you go out and you grab a friend, a neighbor, a family member. If you're in church tomorrow, make sure you talk to your friends. Make sure you talk to everybody you see at church. Make sure they go out and vote, because as we always say, the people that go to church on Sunday vote the right way on Tuesday, don't they? But I don't want to go to bed on Tuesday night or wake up on Wednesday morning wondering if we'd just done a little bit more. We don't want to feel that way, do we? We want to do all we can do over the next 72 hours to make sure that we get the job done. Because you not only need to elect me for Secretary of State, but you need to elect the person I'm going to introduce now. And that's my good friend, the man who's going to be one of the other important votes on that state apportionment board, along with the governor and the Secretary of State. That is your next state auditor, Dave Yost.
It is great to be here in Muskingum County, and I got to tell you, I am so proud today that my wife is with me. The flower of Fairview Park, Darlene Yost, told me, wait, honey. I like to tell people that she's my better three-quarters. Hey, look, November 2nd isn't just an election, folks. Like P.J. O'Rourke says, November 2nd is a restraining order. I'm running for auditor of state. I used to be county auditor in Delaware County. I'm now the prosecuting attorney there. I've counted the beans, and I prosecuted the guys and convicted them that stole some of those beans. And I'm going to do the same thing down in Columbus. And I'm running for a real simple reason. You see, down there in Columbus and down in Washington, they've forgotten how to count. Here's how they count now. 1, 2, 5 billion. And it matters whether we can count or not, because we're spending our children's future. We're spending their liberty. Because what does it mean to be free? To live free, it means that you use your time and your talent and your treasure for what you see fit. I want our children to live that way and not have to answer to some foreign overlord that happens to hold the mortgage on the American dream. How about you? I'm going to help the policymakers with good decisions, good numbers, and understanding the costs of what we're doing so they can skinny down the government in a smart way, because a government that costs less and regulates less is going to make Ohio the kind of place where jobs will begin to grow again, where government helps find a way and isn't in the way. The kind of place where our kids are going to want to stake their claim on the future. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very excited to be here today. There is a man in our midst, right up here on the stage, who I've gotten to know pretty well over the last 18 months. A man for whom I have great respect for his intellect, for his accomplishments, for the rigor of his thinking, but most of all, for his character and his commitment to public service. I give you the next senator from the state of Ohio, Rob Portman.
Zanesville, are you ready to shake things up in Washington and Columbus? Well, it's time to do it. It's time to turn things around. Dave Yost, thank you very much. Dave will be a terrific auditor. He's a prosecutor now. He's been an auditor. He knows how to keep people's feet to the fire. And don't we need someone who can root out waste, fraud, and abuse in government spending? Yes. Thank you, Dave, for getting the crowd fired up, too, and talking a little about some of the problems going on in our state and in our country. And we've got serious problems, folks. When you look at what's happening here in the state of Ohio today, we've not only lost 400,000 jobs in the last 4 years, we lost 17,000 jobs last month. I don't have to tell you that here in Muskingum County because you know about it. And you know those are 17,000 families, not statistics. And some of those families are here with us today at the fairgrounds. And some of them are people you know, may live down the street, maybe somebody you used to work with. We have a responsibility, don't we, folks, to help get those people back to work, to get this economy moving again. And that's what this election's about. It's not just another election. As important as it is for us to elect all these people behind me and the good folks who are here, and Troy and Jimmy doing a terrific job for you in Columbus, and being sure that we elect the right people. This is not just about another election. It's about what we're going to do for the next generation. Are we going to start turning things around now to be able to be sure our kids and grandkids can have the kind of future that we hope for them and that we've enjoyed?
Yes, that's right.
And I think unless we make some changes and make them pretty quickly, that's what's at risk. Think about it. Here in the state of Ohio, as I said, we continue to fall behind, and we're not creating the kind of jobs and opportunities here. Instead, people are going to other states. Young people are coming to Ohio. They're then leaving Ohio to go to other states. It's a brain drain. We're losing some of our best and brightest. We're not able to retain the jobs that we have or create new jobs. It's going to take new leadership and new policies, and that's what we represent in this election. We are very fortunate to have at the head of the ticket here in Ohio a guy who hasn't just talked the talk during the campaign trail, but he's walked the walk. And that's John Kasich. Over the next 3 days, we're going to do everything we can to be sure that John Kasich and Mary Taylor can lead this ticket and lead Ohio back to prosperity. John has done it. He did it in Washington, D.C.